Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskrityam
Namastityam.
Naram Cheva Narottanam
Naram Shiva Naram
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devi Saraswati Vyasam.
Tato Jamudirayat
Tato Jayunayate.
Nastame Jyabhatresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevyam Bhagavate Uttamam Bhaktir Bhaktinam speaking. We are reading from the 10th canto, chapter 34. Nanda Maharaj saved and Sankachuda slain. Today we will discuss text 2 till 9. And text 9 is on the board. So I will first read the first 7 texts before. Text 2. Tatrasnatva sarasvatyam devam pasupatim vipam anakshurhanes bhaktya devim sanipatim vikam. O king, after arriving there, they bathed in the Sarasvati and then devotedly worshipped with various paraphernalia the powerful Lord Pashupati and his consort, goddess Ambika. There's no purple, but there's still a purple of Shiva Goswami, short one. I will read them also. Shiva Goswami. They worshipped Shiva as one who is dear to Krishna and the Vaishnavas, who was capable of bestowing bhakti to the Lord Prabhu, using many articles of worship. Sometimes Vibhum is seen instead. The word Shah indicates that they similarly worshipped Ambika. O king, Sukadev calls Parikshit's attention since he was still absorbed in the rasa dance. Sanatana Goswami is also a comment. At the forest, they worshipped Shiva, who is worshipable because he is dear to Krishna and the Vaishnavas. He was the protector of animals. Moreover, he was capable of bestowing bhakti to the Lord. They worshipped him with devotion with many articles of worship. The word Shah indicates that they similarly worshipped Ambika. O king, being a king, you can understand the curious actions of persons who are curious. For the Lord protects the worship performed by the devotees for the purpose of devotion to the Lord. Text 3. Gabo hiranyam vasamsi madhu matchanamadritam Pramannebhyo darusarve devona priyatam viti. The cowherd man gave the Brahmins gifts of cows, gold, clothing, and cooked grains mixed with honey. Then the cowherds prayed, "May the Lord be pleased with us." That was their purpose. Vishwanath Thakur writes, Gava is used for the normal form of feminine plural accusative case, ga, cows. Nanda and others gave cows gold, the remnants of honey from the bathing of Shiva, and rice sprinkled with honey to the Brahmins. Two verses describe how they were eagerly engaged in Dharma and Artha. They were respected by the priest of the temple, or the cowards were respectful. Nanda and others individually gave gifts. They requested that Shiva or Vishnu be pleased, since Vaishnavas want to please the Lord and his devotees. They prayed for worshipping Vishnu and for the nourishment of Krishna. Sanatana Goswami is also a comment. Gava in the nominative is poetic license. Or it can be Galon and Vaha, Iranian, gold similar to that of your kingdom. They were respected by the priest of the temple or were respectful to them. None and others gave gifts to the Brahmins and prayed. They requested that Shiva or Vishnu or Krishna be pleased, since Vaishnavas want to please the Lord and his devotees. It's amazing. You have these verses, but then you have these commentaries, and these commentaries that let us really see what's going on. It gives you a spiritual vision of what's going on. 4. Ustu saspati tire chalam prasyat yata vratam Vachanim tam mahabhaga nanu sunanda nana sunanda kadaya. Nanda Sunanda and the other greatly fortunate cowards spent that night on the bank of the Saraswati, strictly observing their vows. They fasted, taking only water. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti explains that Sunanda is the younger brother of Nanda Maharaj. You have Sunanda, the younger, and the elder is Upananda. That's Vishwanath Chakravarti. Sunanda and Nanda's younger brothers. Ka indicates his younger age. Sipping water and observing vows, they recited on the bank of the river that night. Shiva Goswami. They drank only water because they had taken a vow since it was Shiva Ratri. Sunanda, the younger brother of Nanda, is mentioned since he was one of the leading figures. This means that the older brother Upananda remained in Vraj to protect it, since he was older in knowledge and years than Goswami. They drank only water because they had taken a vow, because it was Shiva's place, or because of the journey to the place. They were greatly fortunate, or were to attain some fortune. Worship of Shiva is proper, since he is a devotee of the Lord. So Nanda was the younger brother of Nanda. This means that the older brother Upananda remained in Vraj to protect it and give advice. The other elders also, the majority were elders, and thus they are described. The boys and Krishna did not fast, since young boys are not fond of vows. But Kachin Mahanaistasmin Vipinete Babukshitaha Yatitshaya Jago Nandam Sayanam Urago Pashit. During the night, a huge and extremely hungry snake appeared in the thicket, slithering on its belly up to the sleeping Nanda Maharaj. The snake began swallowing him. So we have all these details from our acharyas here. It's a mercy of many devotees. Bhanu Maharaj especially, he translated many of them, and it was he who sent me all this file with all these translations, these commentaries. Vishwanath Chakravarti, he gives details. He says Mahanai means boa constrictor. That this boa constrictor can get 10 meters long. It's a huge snake. So the word uraga, snake, as well as ahi, snake, is used to indicate that he slithered into the forest on his chest. who was, yeah, so that he would be unseen by others. Shiva Goswami. What happened the next night is described. Some remarkable snake appeared by some good fortune. He writes by some good fortune. Anyway, we will hear what that fortune is. The snake approached on his breast, since it did not have feet. Yes, of course. None much was sleeping soundly because of fatigue from the fast and staying awake the previous night. The snake came to him because he was sleeping in a solitary place to avoid people disturbing him. And the snake began swallowing his flesh. No one was awake, that is mentioned later. The snake was actually attempting to be rescued from his condition. The snake was very hungry because it had not eaten for a long time. By some fortune, it came to that forest, for it lived there, and by chance it came to Nanda. It began to swallow Nanda by his feet. Seeing the snake, why did Nanda not flee? He was sleeping because of fatigue from the journey. Why was the snake not afraid when he saw Nanda? Nanda was inactive on the ground covered by a cloth. By fortune, Yatritsaya indicates that the sheep goes in this event. With great pain, the snake took shelter of Nanda's feet in order to be delivered. That's another point of view. Text 6. Sasukrosaina Krishna Mahanayam Sakpomam Gasate Tata Prapanam Parimuchaya. Translation. In the clutches of the snake, Nanda Maharaj cried out, Krishna, Krishna, my dear boy, the huge serpent is swallowing me. Save me, who am surrendered to you. Nanda began to call out for Krishna, remembering the words of Garga, that Krishna would save the inhabitants of Braj from all dangers. That's important, because when Nanda Maharaj still thinks Krishna as his son, but Garga Muni has said, he will save you, so he called out for Krishna. Shiva Goswami. He called out Krishna's name twice out of fear and called out, Son, out of affection. I have no fear of death, but fear of separation from you. I'm surrendered to you since I'm old and under your protection, Kapana. Since as a son you should protect me. Please free me completely without any type of pain. This reveals the situation of a great devotee who could not solve on his own and prayed that Krishna come quickly. This was also seen in the Kalia incident. The snake was swallowing his feet or swallowed them. Nanda called out twice to Krishna out of fear or affection. This snake is large. I cannot fight it myself. It also suggests that as a devotee, Vidadhar was the best of snakes. Our son, Nandakal, calls him with affection. I do not suffer from death, but from separation from you. Save your father who is surrendered to you, or is your devotee. This is said with humility or in pain. Free me so that everything is auspicious, giving up consideration of my own happiness, that all are free from injury. Or by saving me without injury, the snake will be saved. Or the snake is swallowing me, your father. Save the snake from its curse. By doing that, I will be free. Text 7. Tasya sakatitam shutva gopala sahasostitaha kashtam satistra vipranta shakpam vidyaru ulmakai. When the cowed man heard the cries of Nanda, they immediately rose up and saw that he was being swallowed. Distraught, they beat the serpent with blazing torches. Vishwanath, hearing his cries, the cowed member began beating the snake with flaming pieces of firewood. Shiva Goswami. The others heard him yelling with pitiful long wailing. The two words Shah indicate that simultaneously they heard and saw. This indicates their great alertness, fearing the nature of the python to swallow and not release its victim. Very quickly they began hitting its hind parts with hand-held flaming torches, which particularly cause fear in snakes. Some verses have vibranta instead. Sanatana Goswami, the cows heard him crying out pitifully or shouting. Since they were cowards, they were dedicated to Nanda. He was their king. Thus immediately they got up. They had been sleeping. They suddenly heard yelling. They heard and saw simultaneously. This indicates their alertness. Though they were capable of easily freeing him, they beat the snake with torches because they were confused. 8. Alaterdayamano pinanam shattam unkama tam asprishat padapetya bhagavan sattvatam pati. But even though the firebrands were burning him, the servant would not release Nanda Maharaj. Then the Supreme Lord, Krishna, master of his devotees, came to the spot and touched the snake with his foot. Vishwanath. Being beaten by the sticks, Alatai, the snake still did not let go of Nanda. Because Krishna arrived after, since he was staying further away with his friends, avoiding the elders, since that was restrictive to their play. He came quickly out of affection for his father and faced him directly. He touched the snake's tail with his foot, but did not kick it. He was careful not to touch his father with his foot, since that was improper. But he did not injure the snake, since the snake could be released from its curse by another means. Later, the snake will say, I was immediately freed from the Brahman's punishment simply by seeing you. Though his action did not appear so effective, he responded to his father's cries, since he was by nature the shelter of all powers, Bhagavan. And he was the protector of his devotees, Sattvatam Pati. The snake was like Putana dressing as a nurse. That was her bhakti, by which the Lord became merciful. By some sort of bhakti, though the snake could not be touched, Krishna touched it with his foot and it received the greatest benefit. Sanatana Goswami. Krishna touched him just slightly with his left foot, cool and soft like a lotus. Nanda could be freed from the snake, and the snake could be freed from the curse just by seeing Krishna concentrating on him. However, he wanted to give bhakti by his mercy, seeing the bhakti involved in the snake scrubbing Nanda's feet. He did this seeming to kick the snake in anger. That is revealed later. Krishna arrived and faced him. He was staying further away with his friends, avoiding the elders, since that was restrictive to their play. He revealed his powers, Bhagavan. He should hide his powers. He was the protector of the devotees. He did it out of great affection. Now, text 9 is on the board. We can repeat together. Savai Bhagavata Srimad Adasparshahata Subham Beche Sarva Vapuritva Rupam Vitya Dadasitam Savai Bhagavata Srimad Adasparshahata Subham Beche Sarva Vapuritva Rupam Vitya Dadasitam Savai Bhagavata Srimad Adasparshahata Subham Beche Sarva Vapuritva Rupam Vitya Dadasitam Savai Bhagavata Srimad Adasparshahata Subham Beche Sarva Vapuritva Rupam Vidya Dadasitam Savai Bhagavata Srimad Adasparshahata Subham Beche Sarva Vapuritva Rupam Vidya Dadasitam Savai Bhagavata Srimad Adasparshahata Subham Beche Sarva Vapuritva Rupam Vidya Dadasitam Savai Bhagavata Srimad Adasparshahata Subham Beche Sarva Vapuritva Rupam Vidya Dadasitam. But for translation, he, by, indeed, Bhagavata, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Srimad, divine, Pada, of the foot, Sparsha, by the touch, Hatta, destroyed, Asubha, all inauspiciousness, Beje, assumed, Sarvabhapu, a snake body, Itva, keeping up, Upam, form, Vidyadhara, by the Vidyadharas, Akshitam, worshipped. Translation. The snake had all its sinful reactions destroyed by the touch of the Supreme Lord's divine foot, and thus he gave up his serpent body and appeared in the form of a worshipful Vidyadhara. Purport. The words Rupam Vidyadhara Arshitam indicate that the erstwhile snake appeared in a beautiful form, worshipable among the demigods called Vidyadharas. In other words, he appeared as a leader of the Vidyadharas. Now we have commentaries. First of Srila Vishwanath Bhakti Thakur. Being worshipped by the Vidyadharas indicates that a person freed from offenses by the touch of Krishna's food was the best of the Vidyadharas. Jiva Goswami comments. 5 means it is accomplished by the touch of the food, endowed with a wealth of all sweetness of Krishna, who displayed his unlimited power. The snake was freed from his unlimited sins of many births, culminating in his great offense. Great offense. We will speak about the offense. Yeah. The word Srimad suggests that if his food was endowed with such sweetness, how much more his other limbs were sweeter. The touch of his feet is mentioned again in this verse to show its great respect. Touching him with his foot was so wonderful. Rather, he attained a form rare among the Vidyadharas. He attained a form better than his previous one. Or the 2 verses can be taken together. Though being beaten, the snake did not release Nanda. Krishna came to it and touched it with his foot, and simply by the touch, the snake released Nanda, since Nanda was full of all powers and lord of the devotees. The verb release is understood as in the case of Prasida in limb, enter and accept an oblation. Otherwise, without letting go of Nanda, it would not be suitable of the Lord to ask him questions later. It was indeed a snake, Savai, and having this inauspiciousness removed by the touch of the Lord's feet, with that body itself, without being killed, was transformed in a Vidyadhara form. This was because of the Lord with his Asintya Shakti. This remarkable touch is also seen in the case of transforming the bodies of Kubja and the weaver in Mathura. There's a chapter when Krishna enters Mathura. That's Sanatana Goswami. 5 means it is accomplished by the touch of the foot, endowed with a wealth of all qualities of Krishna, who displayed his unlimited power. The snake was freed from his unlimited sins of many births, or his great offense, which could not be counteracted by any means. The touch of his beautiful foot is mentioned again in this verse, that it could produce great beauty. The snake attained a form rare among the Vidyadharas. He attained a form more beautiful than his previous one. Namo Vishnu Krishna Krishna Srimati Bhaktivedanta Namaste Saraswati Gaurvani Prasadi Nirvishesha Srimati Prasadi So the first verses we read, the Vajravastra in Ambika Ram, worshipping Lord Shiva and Ambika, his consort. Of course, like we said yesterday, the Vajravasis knew the principle which is explained by Narada to the Pashitas. Yata tavo mananisheshanenam Pipyantyat Skantavyu Pasata Pranopayak Tayatendriyanam Tatai Vasvarvanamasyatya. If we pour water on a tree, then, or when we pour water on the root of a tree, the tree is energized, but also the trunk, the branches, the twigs, everything. Like one supplies food to the stomach, enlivens the senses, the limbs, the body, simply by worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead with devotional service, automatically it satisfies the demigods who are part of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, this worship of Lord Shiva, it is said before Ekada, it did it once a year. It's not regularly done by the devotees. That we heard in the beginning, the Vrajavasis, they performed austerities, they took a bath, shaved up, they fasted, observed the Vrata, they gave gifts to the Brahmins. But after this, we hear two other pastimes in this chapter. And we heard now about the Vidyadhara, who had a snake body, who was saved by Krishna. The second is the killing of Sankarshuda at the end of the chapter. So this snake, a boa constrictor, very long snake, that and before he was a Vidyadhara, his name was Sudarsana. But he offended sages in the line of Angira Muni, followers of Angira Muni. But they were very renounced, and they looked homeless, ugly, and the Vidyadharas, they are very beautiful. And he offended his sages, and he got cursed. We hear many times curses in the Bhagavatam, that Chitraketi was cursed, Maharaj Parikshit was cursed, so many. It is that curses by the sages are blessings in disguise. So this hearing of the Bhagavatam that we are doing now is keeping our heart pure. It immunes us and keeps us aloof from sense gratification. So Krishna he will say now in the next verse, we shall say to all the Vrajavasis, now you have to hear attentively. This Vidyadhara is going to speak. You have to hear attentively. So we are hearing the Bhagavatam, we should also hear attentively. Krishna wants us to hear the Bhagavatam attentively. And he asked, because Krishna will ask the Vidyadhara, why have you been in the body of a serpent? So the Vidyadharis is a group of demigods, and they are beautiful and they have a lot of mystic power. But if this beauty and these powers, when they are not used in the service of the Lord, they become obstacles in our spiritual advancement. Because then pride arises in the heart. And when humility is not there, that's the problem. This is the formula to chant the holy names in a proper state of mind. You may have a PhD and in great knowledge, but we should always remember it's not our knowledge. It are borrowed plumes, you can say. We have no, Lord Krishna can give you powers, but and give you knowledge, but can make you also forget in a moment that we have no power to earn something or to maintain what we have. To commit an offense to any living entity is an offense to God. What to say of one who commits an offense to one who has dedicated one's life for the propagation of Krishna consciousness? So he ridiculed the sages of Angira because they were ugly, they were poor, and the sages cursed him to lose everything. He became the most abominable species of life, a serpent. Everyone wants to kill a serpent because they know if a serpent continues to live, a serpent, it will cause suffering to others. But the Vidyadhara understood that getting the body of a serpent, he got the body of a serpent, but now he was transformed into a humble devotee. He came to the realization that because he's asking, Krishna, please let me now return to the heavenly planets. I'm asking permission. He's asking permission because now he realized these are not my heavenly planets. It's his, it's from Krishna. So he has permission to leave to the heavenly planet. So without the blessings of the Vaishnavas, we cannot do anything in this world that is auspicious. By the blessings of the sages and the Lord, he became a humble devotee. So the blessings of Lord Shiva were on the Vrajavasis. He fulfilled their desire, and he arranged for a situation that made them even more Krishna conscious. Yes. So then the Vrajavasis left after hearing the Vidyadhara, and they glorified the Supreme Lord. Lord Chaitanya also is stressed especially that we should seek protection from offenses and to the lotus feet of the Vaishnavas. Such offenses are called Vaishnava Aparad. If one commits Vaishnava Aparad, all of the progress in devotion service is checked. And we see the great mystic Yoga Durvasa Muni, he offended Ambarish Maharaj. And he wanted to kill Ambarish Maharaj by creating a demon from a hair. One of his hairs, he smashed it on the ground and a big demon came out. But then immediately Krishna's Sudarshan Chakra appeared and cut the demon to pieces and started to chase after Durvasa Muni. And he had to flee all over the universe. He was traveling for 1 year. He went even to Vaikuntha, to seek shelter of Lord Narayan. And Lord Narayan said, nothing I can do. You have to seek forgiveness of Ambarish Maharaj. So, there are 10 offenses against the holy name, and one is Guru Aparad. And it's the most grievous offense. That this offense is called Guru Avatya. Guru Avatya Shrutisastra Nindanam, from the Padma Purana, where these 10 offenses are mentioned. That in a lecture of Srila Prabhupada, and that's interesting, is he's asking his disciples, why am I translating this book? Why do I get up in the middle of the night? In the middle of the night, and I sacrifice my sleep, and I'm translating this book. Why am I translating this book? And Srila Prabhupada said, it's for you to read them. That if you are not reading them, and then he says, go avakya. You make an offense to the spiritual master. This I thought about afterwards. So, of course, Srila Prabhupada gave us the morning class, the evening class. We are reading Prabhupada's books. But we should read Prabhupada's books every day. That otherwise it says, go avakya. Then this is from Chaitanya Bhagavat. According to the scriptures, even the most powerful person is destroyed by Vaishnava aparat. One who commits Vaishnava aparat has to suffer hellish life of a sinner, life after life. But to speak of others, even the most powerful Sri Chaitanya's own mother was taken to task committing Vaishnava aparat. Because once Lord Chaitanya, he was blessing and glorifying all his devotees and calling them one by one and blessing them. And then one of the devotees asked Lord Chaitanya, why are you not calling Mother Sakshi, your own mother? Why are you not blessing them? Sure. And Lord Chaitanya said, yes, he committed Vaishnava toward Advaitacharya. Because later, before that Lord Chaitanya's elder son, Vishwarupa, he was hearing the Bhagavatam every day at the house of Advaitacharya. And then his other Sachi and Jagannath Mishra were making plans to marry him. And when he heard that, he disappeared and took sannyas. And Mother Sachi in her heart was always blaming Advaitacharya for this. This is because he was hearing the Bhagavatam. So she had some hardness in her heart towards Advaitacharya. But then she asked forgiveness of Advaitacharya. And the problem was solved. That we have to be careful not to carry with us bad feelings towards the devotees in our heart. That's not good. To let this go. This is a great lesson to be learned. But it's not the first time Krishna does that. Also, when he was in Dwarka, the youngsters of Dwarka were playing with a ball, and so it fell in a well. In the well, they found a lizard, a big lizard, and could not get it out. And they asked Krishna to come. And Krishna also liberated the lizard. And the lizard had been a king in his previous life, King Rija. And King Rija was known for his charity, but once he gave a cow twice. He gave it to someone, to a Brahmin, and the cow came back into the herd, and he gave the same cow to another Brahmin. And then the previous owner said, this is my cow. and there was a disagreement, and King Neil said, no problem, I will give you 10,000 cows in compensation. That, but they remained dissatisfied, and he became a lizard. But there also what Krishna said to the youngsters of Dwarka, hear attentively what this person has to say. He wanted to tell them, don't become proud, and be careful with the Brahmins, with the devotees. That so Krishna is teaching us to this pastime, very important point. Thank you. And question, comment? Yes, please.
You mentioned that Krishna wanted to teach them how to be proud. But then later, when they told them to be sages, they want to play a trick on them. So one they dress up one of them as a pregnant lady.
Somebody.
And so they
Yeah, he warned them. He warned them, and still it happens. Yeah, that's true. Of course, it was also Krishna's arrangement for his pastime. It had to happen, but he's teaching us also. Even if you hear it, don't forget it. Be aware of it. Something else? Thank you. Very nice. Yes.
Maharaj, the snake was touched by Krishna's lotus feet. Snake was touched by Krishna's lotus feet, and I thought that when one paints the lotus feet of Krishna, one paints the perfection. So I find it a little bit confusing that he was still requesting Krishna. He was still asking Krishna's permission to go back to the planets.
Yeah. That is a good point you're making. The point here is Krishna reciprocates with the desire of the living entity. You find that also in Bali Maharaj pastime. Bali Maharaj pastime. Bali wanted to become Indra. And he went to the heavenly planets and so on, but then Vamandev took everything away. And of course, Bali Maharaj was a pure devotee, but he desired to become Indra. Therefore, Vamandev said, you desired it. In the next day of Brahma, you will become Indra. He had to become Indra because he desired it. So if one does not desire to go back to Godhead, but desires something else, Krishna will fulfill that. So he desired to go back to his planet. That is right. That it was his desire, and Krishna gave permission. So Krishna does not interfere with our free will. Like Dhruva Maharaj got perfection and became form. Prishnigarbha, the four-armed form of Vishnu, touched him with the conch, and he became completely purified. And he said, yeah, I desired a planet bigger and to be more wealthy than my great-grandfather Brahma. Now I don't want it anymore. That I don't want to be the ruler of the world. But Lord Vishnu said, yes, okay, but I ask you to do some service. First, you have to be, for 32,000 years, the ruler of the whole universe, and then I will give you something better than Brahman. You can go to Svetat with the North Pole, the star, Dhruva for that. So Krishna reciprocates with our desire. He said, you desired it, now I'll give you. You have to do it. So that's also an important point to learn in Krishna consciousness. Be careful with what you desire. The Hare Krishna mantra is Shintamani Nam. It's a touchstone. It can fulfill all your desires. And if we desire these things, Krishna reciprocates. Does that help to get that point? Thank you. Good. Something else? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Good.
On the same point, question. Have you tend to think that if you're paying Christian focus to you disagree with the desire that most of the people desire? I find also answered. Do you elaborate on that point?
Yeah, that's of course we are in the devotional service in the beginning we are full of material desires still, but then gradually when we chant without offenses, we come to Namabhas, the heart becomes purified, and most offenses most gross desires go quickly, but then the subtle desires, that's more hard. And we see that in the cleansing of the Gundicha temple pastime, Lord Chaitanya. First is the gross cleaning, but then the subtle cleaning, all the details. Because then we are free from gross lust, anger, and so on. But then there's this profit and distinction, thinking that I know something, that, and we start to instruct others, we have to do that and that. but we are still foolishly conditioned, and it takes a while to get that away. But there is hope that because someone asked Srila Prabhupada, if we are 95% pure, and can we go back to Godhead? Srila Prabhupada said, yes. Then the devotee said, and 90%. Prabhupada said yes, and 85%. Prabhupada said yes, but it would not go lower than 80%. So we must be nearly pure. And what happens then, that is explained by different examples, that like we spoke about the Radhadesh, different kinds of gopis, and like you have the Rishichari gopis, they were in their previous life, 2 million years before, they were sages in the Dandakaranya forest where Lord Ram went through. And they were also sages, quite pure, not completely, but they wanted with Lord Ram a conjugal relationship. And Lord Ram said, in my incarnation, not possible. Eka Patni, only Sita, but I'm coming back at the end of Bprs Yuga, and then you can have that relationship with me. And they have been born in Krishna's pastimes of gopis, and they were sadhakas. They came to sadhana to that point, but they were not completely pure, like 80-85%. And then they were trained up by the Nitya Siddha gopis, the eternal gopis who came from the spiritual world. And when the time from the rasa dance was there, Krishna played his flute and all these gopis went to the forest and they wanted to go out, but they were hindered by their family members. They could not go out. But their desire was so great that all impurities burnt at that moment. And still they went to the Radhadesh, but in their spiritual body. So that's, if we are fortunate, then at the end of life, next birth, we take birth in Krishna's pastimes and will be trained up there in one of our other universe. But that's already considered a spiritual birth. That's all. But in some sense, that we are also in Krishna's pastimes. Lord Chaitanya appeared 500 years ago, and he created a movement, Sankirtan movement. And this is this movement, the Sankirtan movement. And by pleasing Lord Chaitanya, we can go back to the spiritual world by serving in his mission. If we serve in Srila Prabhupada's mission, that will purify us. And because it pleases Srila Prabhupada, Lord Chaitanya, and we can go back to the spiritual world. Because this participation in Sankirtan is participation in Krishna's pastime. It is. Okay? Thank you. Good. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki.
So,